Hey, it's the right temperature. Start wearing the robe that I made. I made this like 30 years ago. I swear by all that's holy that even if I have to borrow money from the bank, I'm going to try to take a vacation. Even if. I've been trying to take a vacation now for over half a year. Yeah. Hey, this is a wonderful day. This is funny. You know it's true because it's embarrassing. You know how expensive those little fruit bowls are? Well, this one was half off, which means it's like going bad. So I bought one of those and I was going to fix a couple burger patties today. Yeah. So, yeah, I put in a dozen eggs and that pushed the fruit bowl out upside down all over the dirty floor. I mean, I keep my floors clean, but it was still near the entryway, which I hadn't, swept or mopped there in at least a month. And so I had to throw my fruit bowl away. And I was fixing a couple burgers on the skillet in the kitchen. And I want to drain all that grease off. It's popping and splattering everywhere. It's just too much grease. It's going to drain it into the garbage can. So yeah, I put a spatula against the burger patties. Yeah, one of them fell in the garbage can. And I looked into the garbage can and I thought a minute. I was like, is there anything really dirty in there? So I fished the burger patty out of the garbage can. There wasn't any dirt I had to flick off of it. I'm kind of embarrassed to admit that. Maybe I'll edit that out of this video. Everybody wanted me to watch the video between the Exorcist and the Ammon guy on that guy who does all the interviews. I don't want to mention his name. It's kind of funny. I'm not taking either side. Certainly, definitely not the side of the Exorcist. It was like watching Bugs Bunny and Elmer Fudd go at it. The one guy that had the giant cross around his neck. He kind of looked like Elmer Fudd, and he wouldn't let the Ammon guy do any speaking. And he said a lot of hypocritical stuff, but he wouldn't let him get a word in edgewise. I thought it was kind of funny. I really didn't want to watch it, honestly, except for everybody was pointing me to it. It was really kind of funny. Here's a neat old black and white movie made in 1961. It's called Bernadette of Lourdes. And the supposed spirit of Mary, spoke to Bernadette. It's actually a great movie, even though all the stuff behind it is, of course, complete nonsense. And she goes to the local priest, and the priest, of course, doesn't believe her, and Bernadette said, well, Mary told me to speak to the priest. And the priest says in the movies, he got really upset. He says, even the very heathens have priests. So, heathen is a word we don't use anymore. Generally, it's a reference to a materialist or an atheist, i.e. a nihilist, not a pagan. However, the two have kind of melded together. It's pejorative to actually refer to a pagan when I talk about earliest Christianity and this idea of, pagan. And I don't think most people realize that the term pagan is a pejorative to refer to any non-Abrahamic belief. By the way, I'll point out at the beginning of this and the end of this that nothing popular is true and nothing true is popular. And I think everybody knows that all Christian holidays are originally so-called pagan holidays. The whole idea that Emperor Constantine was converted to Christianity, and this, of course, was the spring point for the popularization of Christianity, is completely ludicrous. It's non-historical. There was no established religion of Christianity at the time of Constantine. The First Nicene Order is where Constantine himself established this new religion. So Christianity, by the way, the term Christianity didn't exist until, I forget, the 13th or the 14th or 15th century? Not important, but it was established by Emperor Constantine. Do you know that the word pagan from pact literally means a peace lover? Actually, the term means that. So if pagan means peace lover, even though it's used as a pejorative by Christians, this must mean that the inverse, an Abrahamic follower, is somebody that is a conflict monger. I'm not going to use the W-A and the R word. I'm going to say conflict monger. Derived from the Latin pagus, which originally meant region or markers from paganus. Also meant it related to the countryside or a country dweller, a villager. By extension, connotation, this means a yokel, a bumpkin, a forest dweller. In Roman military jargon, it means a non-combatant. From the word pact, because a pact is establishment of peace. So even though it's used as a pejorative, the word pagan actually means a lover of peace. So that means the inverse is a lover of... Yeah, it's exactly right. Civilian, a unskilled or new soldier. So yeah, pact means peace, since at its roots, the roots of pact is always the end period and closing off of unfriendly relationships. Doesn't mean Wiccan. Modern connotation, unfortunately, means, oh, you're a pagan, you must be a follower of Wiccan. That's just pantheism. Could also, too, be, since it's so loose and undefined, I never used that word, Wiccan. Pantheism and also, too, pantheism. Paganus, quite a religious connotation in the mid-4th century. This, of course, is the First Nicene Order, where Christianity was invented whole cloth. Let me reiterate that Christianity was invented whole cloth, the First Nicene Order of Emperor Constantine. Also, too, is the early to the 5th century, paganus, which was used to denote a person outside the bounds of the Christian community. So it has always been, as I've told you, a pejorative. And like I said, an atheist is a heathen. This is a nihilist or a base materialist. This is true of all, most all, actually, religions. This is very, very true of our earliest. People actually said of this robe, so, the sleeves are too long. I was like, the sleeves on a robe like this are supposed to be too long. They're supposed to be that way. I love it when people say, "Are you wearing that robe? You made the sleeves too long." No, they're supposed to be that long. Times of Gautama, the way these different faiths, like today we call them Jains, but the founder of Jainism, his name was Niganta Natiputra. They would actually hang out. They didn't have movie theaters back then. They actually had theater of various types, but people would show up, not with popcorn, of course, but essentially so, to watch, minds match wits. Like, if this person's belief system or metaphysics is true, then they'll easily defeat this other person. So they would show up as debate halls not only for entertainment, but also, too, to see who had the sharpest mind. But outside of whoever had the sharpest mind, it's like they could determine very, very quickly who was rooted in the truth and wisdom and who was not. And that's something, and I make reference to this because of that video interview you all pointed me to, and it's called The Exorcist versus, I'm not going to use the word, Aman versus this guy with a giant cross around his neck. And of course, they wouldn't let old Aman get a word in edgewise, which, of course, he comments, and I don't care, I don't know the guy, I've never spoken with him via email. Couldn't care less, but he actually reminds me in many ways, not personally, is that some people will complain about, rationally so, the smell of, something that's bad, like poo. But you'll notice that, not literally, figuratively, they always got their head in the old toilette. It's like, you're complaining about the smell of this rancid brown stuff, but you've always got your head in where you're going to find it. Pull your head out of there. Why waste your life, commenting on or trying to, drop a brown deuce on something that's fundamentally of no importance. And people will say, well, you mean it's not important. It's the cornerstone of all Western society. Well, the past 1,600 plus years it is, but just because it's popular doesn't mean it's true. Actually, it means the exact opposite. Nothing popular is true and nothing true is popular. It's a quote from myself. It is always true and it will always be true throughout time, both past and into the future. I know how much of modern society is shaped, but that doesn't give it any importance. It just does not. So I'm quite remiss to point out people that are complaining about something when all they do is focus in on it, and I don't care. Why focus in on something that is fundamentally of no importance, is fundamentally flawed at every level? I know people that do this. It's a reason why I can't stand the word Buddhism. That term didn't even exist until the 16th century. It was originally called Brahmayana, Path to the Absolute. These people don't care anything about the original teachings. The origins of Christianity, however, are completely false. It was invented whole cloth. Anyway, people would hang out at debate halls, and this was very, very popular at the time of Gautama. It was both a form of entertainment and seeing who actually had their thumb closest to the truth. And it served multiple purposes, including being great entertainment. By the way, there's a free, it's available online now. It was a movie in the theaters, but it's on YouTube now. It's called Hidden Faith of Our Founding Fathers. A lot of people think that the United States was founded on Christianity. It was absolutely 100% not. The Founding Fathers, who were extremely rational and believed in Thomas Paine and others, they did not accept a lot of the, radically ludicrous stuff, whole cloth, that you'll find in the New Testament, much less the Old Testament. It's just you had to turn your brain off, to believe in this stuff. And of course, belief is the very plaything of children. I could care less about belief. There's another great book, if you want to go into the origins of this, called Celsus, C-E-L-S-U-S, Against the Christians. And I'm not interested in going after any religion. I could not care less what people believe in. Belief is superficial, and I couldn't care less about it. The important thing that people don't point out, we could talk about the translation from the Greek or to the Aramaic, but it's not important. I always try to get to the root of things very, very quickly. If it has a beginning in time, or place, or person, either of those three, or all of those three, it can't be universal. And if it's not universal, it can't be the universal truth. I mean, it's just completely ridiculous. This idea of a flesh and blood God is absolute, pure, irrational, and illogical, reductio ad absurdum. It's completely ridiculous. What people believe, once again, is no concern of mine. But there was, by the way, no religion of Christianity in the time of Constantine. We were all taught to believe that Emperor Constantine, converted to Christianity. This is completely nonsense. He himself, the First Nicene Order, invented it whole cloth. Anything also, too, that tries to spread, because wisdom is its own reward, anything that tries to spread itself like a virus, they're not happy until they convert you to the same thing. If it were true and pure and beautiful and accurate, you wouldn't care who believed in it. It's like, wow, I'm in the central point or the nexus of bliss and wisdom and understanding. No. They're never happy until they've spread it like a virus to you. And if you won't, because you're too intelligent to convert, well, then they want to make sure that you meet your end. Oh, you're not going to convert? Well, we'll take care of that problem. We won't allow you to continue, walking and breathing and eating. It really kind of tells you everything, as that old saying goes, so shall by their fruits ye know them. Constantine desired at the Nicene Order to create a new god for his empire. Here's a quote from Pope Leo X, 1521. He called Christ a fable, so there's no explanation for the hundreds of years of silence prior to Emperor Constantine, i.e. the construct of Christianity did not begin until after the first quarter of the 4th century. This is true. This is an emperor from, a quote from about Constantine, God's book of Esdras. Search ye these books, and whatever is good in them, then retain. But whatever is evil, then cast away. What is good in one book, unite ye with that which is good in another book, and whatever is thus brought together shall be called the Book of Books, the Bible, or the New Testaments. And it shall be doctrine of my people, which will be recommended unto all nations, that there shall be no more conflict for sake of religion. This is Emperor Constantine's desire for power and acclaim and unification of the worlds under his thumb, of the Roman Empire. The conclusion of Mark is admittedly, this is admission from the church, by the way. This is Catholic Encyclopedia Biblica, Volume 2, page 1880, Volume 3, page 1671 through 1781, also too. The conclusion of Mark is admittedly not genuine. Almost the entire collection is a later compilation. The entire basis of this, flesh and blood God entity, which is the first book of Christianity, the book of Mark, is invented whole cloth. I mean, there's just absolutely no denying that whatsoever. Christianity did not exist until after the 4th century CE. It just did not. Emperor Constantine created it. So Pope Leo X called Christ a fable. The Second Council of Nicaea, which was in 786 to the following year, denounced the First Council. The First Council of Nicaea created Christianity whole cloth. The Second Council denounced the First Council as a synod of fools and madmen, and sought to annul the, quote, decisions passed by men with troubled brains. The Second Council refuted the First Council, who established and invented Christianity whole cloth. It said they were a bunch of madmen. Here's another quote. And they write this nonsense on vellum, referring to early Christian doctrine. This is Contra Celsum, Origin of Alexandria. You could also, too, by the way, when we refer to pagan, a lot of people think it has to do with Gnostics. It's not. You should read by Plotinus, the most brilliant author who ever lived. It's Against the Gnostics by Plotinus, and that is Aeneid, Book 2.9. 2.9. Metaphysics unites. You know, we're talking about Sophia Perennis. Traditionalism. You know, the true metaphysics, which is rational and logical and sensible and doesn't require you to turn your brain off, to affirm it in the positive. Religions divide. Metaphysics unites. A rational mind can't accept this or any other such religion, which are all built upon one another. Christianity is built upon the prior faith, which I'm not going to mention, and other faiths were built upon that. It's just one pile of nonsense on top of another pile of nonsense. The books that people don't have access to in the library, the secret library of the Catholic Church, the Vatican archives, they're really the only things that are insufferable to Christianity are the facts that these things are being hidden. The origins of Christianity, the First Nicene Order, where Christianity was invented whole cloth. And once again, I'm not in any way, shape, or form going after that belief system, but belief system is a thing of children and fools. I couldn't care less about it. And I'm certainly not trying to convert anybody to anything. It's irrelevant. And then once again, I point out to you the fact that, how could it be irrelevant? It's the basis of all Western society. Yes and no, but essentially yes. But that doesn't make it any less irrelevant. And then some people will argue reductio ad populum, or I call the bandwagon fallacy. They're both the same thing. It's true because it's popular. Well, the ancient word for popular in several languages, including Pali, also too means profane. Anything that's popular can't be true. And I'll point out to you once again, that this idea that there's only two things, which is what most people believe in. You either have nihilism/materialism/atheism over here. By the way, true atheism is called metaphysical atheism. Go look up what metaphysical atheism is. It has nothing to do with God one way or the other. Nothing at all. Sure it is. Atheism is about denial of God. No, it's not. Metaphysical atheism. People think there's only that in the Abrahamic religions over here, and there's not. There's an opposite to both of those things. It's kind of like a coin. We talk about that. You believe in the head side of the coin, or you believe in the tail side of the coin. I'm not interested in either. Well, how could you be not interested in either? That's all there is. Like, no, opposite of the head side and the tail side. We have this neat little thing called the matrix of the coin. It'd be silver or gold, makes no difference. I'm interested in truth and wisdom. I'm not interested in nihil ex nihilo, which is what true atheism is, metaphysical atheism, or its antinomy. You know, these creationistic nonsenses which were invented whole cloth by men. Don't you find it interesting that the Second Nicene Order, you know, completely tore apart the first and said it was a synod of fools and madmen, and decisions passed by men with troubled brains? The very best and most popular things written have always been throughout history. You know, the very best of various things to the same principle. It's extracted and brought into one thing. Everybody applauds this one thing, but it's taken from various sources. And early Christianity, which was created whole cloth, did that just as, you know, God's book of Escra. You know, search these books, and whatever is good in them, thence retain. Whatever is evil, cast away. What is good in one book, unite ye that which is good with another book, and whatever is thus brought together shall be called the book of books. They took fables and mysteries and the really, really, really popular stuff, just as every Christian holiday is a pagan holiday. Once again, pagan is a pejorative. There's no such thing as a pagan. Pagan is what was called to anybody that didn't ascribe to the Abrahamic religions. This is the reason where we get the word barbarian. You know, if they didn't speak your native language, you know, the language of Rome, then you were a barbarian, which means that you were just blathering words that didn't have ba, 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 ba. That's where the word barbarian comes from. They had no idea what you're saying. To them, you're just going ba, 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 ba. They didn't know what you... This is where we get the word barbarian from. The very term barbarian, which is used as a pejorative of like some person from a foreign land speaking a foreign language, is the same with the term pagan. It's just, well, you're not a follower of our faith or what's closely related to our faith, or you're a pagan. This is not a reference to anything. Pagan does not refer to anything specifically at all. It's just a pejorative. Pagan is almost as bad a term as the term meditation. Meditation, not my opinion, fact, is absolutely undefined. It doesn't mean anything. Comes from the Greek word melite, which in Latin is meditatio, which became the English word it means practice or ritual. When someone says they're doing meditation, they're not telling you what they're doing. It's completely aspecific. That's why I never use this word. Words that should never be used: pagan, meditation, waves. Waves of what? Wave is not a thing. There's all these neat little words that don't mean anything, but everybody loves to use them because most people have uncultured and unrefined minds. So the debate between the Christians and the paganism doesn't exist. It's a pejorative, like barbarian. And Christianity was created whole cloth by Emperor Constantine in the First Nicene Order. Created whole cloth. I mean, it's just, we're going to discuss nonsense A, or we're going to discuss nonsense B. I'm not interested in either nonsense. Could not care less. I'm interested in facts, logic, and wisdom. What is rational? What is retroductively provable? And where you find that stuff, kind of like Plato. A lot of the things attributed to Plato were never written by Plato. The Parmenides and the Timaeus and the very, very best parts of Plato's Republic, they're ancient. They far, far precede Plato's birth. They weren't written by Plato. Same is true of the New Testament. These were the good and popular stuff. Yeah, by the way, Christian comes, Jesus Christ comes from the Druid Jesus and Krishna. So we get Jesus, Krishna, which of course became Jesus Christ. I don't know if you know that or not. What's the, is it Jesus Krishna? I'm sure you've probably heard over the years people say, well, Krishna is Jesus, and you're looking at him like, you know, what are you talking about? Yeah, Jesus is the Druid god, Jesus. And Krishna, of course, the Sanskrit word for Christ. This is where we get Jesus Krishna, or Jesus Christ. All of this was created whole cloth, First Nicene Order. It's not my opinion, that's a fact. You could protest it, and whoa, bully, I don't believe in this fat, bald, tattooed guy, I don't care what he no, nonsense! Don't care about beliefs. Nonsense A or nonsense B, I couldn't care less about it. What people follow or believe, or couldn't care. interested in Sophia Perennis, traditional metaphysics, rational, logical, and this is stuff written by Proclus, Iamblichus, Numenius, Plotinus, Cydianus, the Pythagoreans. Rational, logical. In other words, you don't have to turn your brain off. It's like, yeah, that follows. It's all completely united in this logical, holistic whole. The center holds. The center doesn't hold anywhere in Christianity or any other belief system. These all, and the idea of a flesh and blood God, oh my God, you really, 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 really have to turn your brain off, to, have any faith in such balderdash. But once again, I don't care. If that ires you, that's your problem. It's not my problem. But if it has a beginning in place or time or person, it can't be universal. And if it's not universal, it can't be a universal truth from one end of this universe to the next. It's 1,000% impossible. Is it universal? No, it didn't exist. The truth didn't exist until, the holy flesh and blood guy came along, and that was 2,000 years. Before that, everybody was doomed. Yeah. Sorry. I have to turn my brain off to even think of even thinking about that. I can't even think about it because it makes my brain hurt. It's so irrational. You expect me to think that something is true and divine and beautiful is utterly irrational, balderdash? Well, go ahead. I don't care. And I'm certainly not trying to convert anybody to anything. You, however, are. Well, I don't feel happy until I've converted a few people, until I've spread it around. So that's what brings you happiness. You're not saved until you convert a few other people into the same silliness you believe. That's right. That's the way it works. As soon as there's people that go door to door that do that. You know who I'm talking about. There's a lot of different ones. Hello, we'd like to talk to you about SkyDaddy version 2.0. As written on the silver tablets, which don't exist, as found in Utah in the 1700s. I forget when it was, sometime in the 1800s maybe. I can't remember when that silly nonsense started. Nonsense A, nonsense B, couldn't care less. Couldn't care less, and why should I? Someone's going to say, oh, are you sure I'm smug in this video? Am I, or am I just being rational? If you ever want to contact me, check out the links below. Any donation is always warmly welcome. I have a Substack with a lot of articles that I've written, including a lot of audio. That's also, too, in the link below. I hope you have a happy new February. And yes, the sleeves are supposed to be this long on this robe. They're supposed to be that way. They're supposed to be this long. To help to keep you warm so you could actually do this number and fold your arms up, keep them warm. You're outside in the cold. They serve other purposes too. Thank you so much for watching. Check you out later in live stream, okay? Oh, goodness.